Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DMLA's Beyond the Field podcast, the official podcast of the Drum Major Leadership Academy, sponsored by the Band app. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about re-engaging your ensemble. I have the huge honor of being joined by some of the Music City instructional team, including Joe Roach, Krista Kearney, and Parker Shepard, one of the drum majors. I don't want to introduce yourselves, but Joe, can you start us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do with Music City, and anything else that you want to share.
My name is Joe Roach. I'm the executive director here at Music City Youth in the Arts, and in the summer I'm the director of Music City Drum Corps. This will be my third year with Music City Drum Corps, which is kind of technically my second year, which we're all going to get into in a little bit. So, Krista?
My name is Krista Kearney. I am one of two brass caption heads at Music City. I have been with Music City since 2015, started off as a mellophone instructor, and worked my way up.
And last but not least, Parker Shepard, one of my favorite people in the world.
Aww. Like Josh said, my name is Parker Shepard. I've been with Music City since 2014. I've marched 2014, 2016, and 2014 through 2016, and then 2019 on trumpet, and 17 and 18 on mellophone with the best mellophone instructor in the world, Krista Kearney. And in 2020 and 2021, I was a drum major, and I'll be aging out in 2021 as head drum major. So yeah.
Really, really cool. And Parker and Joe, you both mentioned this. 2020 brought some very unexpected challenges that really changed the way that we do marching band and that we do drum corps. Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about what 2020 was like for Music City?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Josh. For me, we were really picking up momentum like every group is. If it's hard to remember all the way back to March, but March in the drum corps season is really close to moving in. We were, 8 or 9 weeks away from actually getting together and starting the summer of 2021 when we all just ran headfirst into the wall known as social distancing and COVID. And it created a 180 that I've never experienced as a professional, as an educator, as a drum corps fanatic. I've never had my eye on the prize and then all of a sudden had to go the other direction and sit at home and be socially distanced. So it posed a lot of challenges like it did for everybody else. As we were getting ready for this podcast, I was trying to go through it's a 2-year time span almost to when we're going to be active again, which feels really crazy. And for Krista, she had just taken over as caption head. I mean, weeks before we had 2 camps, and Krista and Jonathan Valentine were putting plans together. And like a lot of plans, we had to kind of stop them short, right, Krista?
Yeah, Jonathan and I joke that we broke DCI because we'd been with the organization since 2015, and we worked so hard, and we were the final 2 brass people that started together, so we were the oldest vetted together. So we have a joke that we broke DCI because we finally made it. But even though we kind of broke DCI, from a staff perspective, this break was really odd because it was very nebulous. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know, should we plan moving forward? Is this really going to disappear? Is it going to stay for a long time? Is it going to change the world and life as we know it? Especially because both Jonathan and I are also high school band directors. So we were also kind of tackling our primary gig and then our secondary gig, not really knowing what to do. But I mean, on the bright side, we spent a ton of time collaborating with each other as a world-class staff, trying to figure out what are our large goals, what are our small goals moving forward, what is this vision of this drum corps that we want, and that's time that we don't get to spend with each other very often because so many of us are full-time educators, so many of us are full-time performers, and we really got a lot of time to not just know each other but kind of shape this vision of this drum corps that we wanted, which I think is invaluable, and I'm actually pretty thankful for it.
Yeah, I think every program, whether it is drum corps or high schools as well, and college bands, like having this break has been a great chance to reflect and just see how to get better from here. Parker, when you first heard that the season was canceled, obviously it was your age out and you were looking forward to another killer year. But what was that like for you and the rest of the membership to hear that everything just kind of comes to a stop?
Yeah, so definitely after doing drum corps for every summer since I was 15 years old, it was I kind of forgot how to summer, how to vacation, how to sit back and not do drum corps. So it was definitely just like it was crazy. It was weird. It was definitely sad too. After it's like you have this cookie, someone took your cookie, someone took your experience away from you. And then I didn't adjust well at first. I was still like, I think I said it on our call, like, this is an awesome experience. We have all of this time to get better from from COVID to like, I don't know when we were going to get back together, but I had this thought that we were just going to keep going. We were going to keep trucking. And I was running and I was posting in our little workout thing, like, hey guys, I'm running. Are you running? And no one really was like, Parker, we need to chill out a little. I was like, okay, which is fine. And I'm glad we took more of a chill, like, let's really focus on this social, emotional, getting through it together instead of trying to truck through and work really, really hard. Not to say we didn't work hard, but
Yeah.
It definitely posed that first big challenge was like, how do we make sure? Because again, we were just starting to get to know each other as a drum corps. So we were mentioning earlier, we did all these social check-ins and fun things, and Krista baked cookies, and like we got to know like the background of everybody's actual life. With, oh my God, at some point we got to be ready to drum corps again, and I remember thinking in March, April, May, June that was going to be a lot sooner. I mean, nobody envisioned no fall marching band, no WGI for a second year in a row, and now this truncated, summer experience that we are going to commit to and pull off here safely. But it was, man, that was the first fork in the road that I'd ever had that was so extreme. How do we keep people engaged without burning them out? Because Zoom fatigue was immediate, I feel like.
Yeah, big time. And when the season was canceled, it wasn't just drum corps that was affected. It was quite literally everything. I mean, Krista, you mentioned being a high school director earlier. Your entire life and career like flipped on its head, and everyone just had to figure things out. Members too. But Parker, the thing that I love about what you were saying is, you were really driven. You had a lot of energy, and you used this as a chance to make something positive. And, kind of from that, I mean, especially right now, getting ready for this season, I think a lot of that is starting to pay off. Like, we at Music City are seeing the members starting to get more physically acclimated, getting ready for this next season. And there is a lot of social things that we've kind of been doing in the meantime. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those kind of series that you helped set up, like live streams and other?
yeah. So in the start of the pandemic, we were kind of just like, we still need to get to know these people. Like, we don't really know each other that well. So each section kind of had like their own little group chat and we're doing their own thing. And so we wanted to do something more together. And we came up with like, I think we started with the brass and the percussion and guard individual like live streams on each page. And one person would go live and other people would like come in and say hi and you just, talk and tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're doing right now. Where are you? Are you at your parents' house? Do you have to move back in with them? Because I did. And it was party. But yeah, and then we wanted to do something a little more personal and we set up these Zoom calls. So it was kind of like a Sunday check-in, like, how's everyone doing? What are you doing? Same kind of premise, but more conversational. And that was towards the start of the pandemic. Do you want me to go into more of like what we're doing now as well? Because I can do that. Yeah. So now we set up a Music City Discord and that stays pretty bumping. That's anything from just, we have a meme channel, we have a fitness channel. I don't know Discord lingo, but I think that's right. And and then each section has their own little chat that they can feel comfortable in a small group, like asking questions. We also set up what we call Muscle City, which is a Facebook group, which is our workout page. And a bunch of us have started doing a Couch to 5K program. And any workout they do, they just post and encourage their friends to keep going and working out too.
It's such a huge part of drum corps, and it was something we focused on, building that social aspect and having that creative outlet and that physical challenge, like Parker said, the most important thing we've been doing the last couple of weeks here is just re-engaging and trying to get everybody physical again. Because that first week together, of course, it's going to be a shocker on the lips and the hands and the toes when we're doing our trade craft. But man, that first 10-hour day out in the sun in the middle of July, we got to get ready for it. So it's been great to see some people getting a little more active on that, and it's been fun. So
I feel like that social aspect too is something, again, that, and I feel like COVID has brought a lot of things that I personally, as an educator and just kind of as a person, take for granted. So that's kind of like my theme for this podcast right now is like, oh, I never thought of this, and then I found this. But, something that I didn't really consider, and which I think is kind of silly, is that this is such a social activity. Band, but especially, drum corps, we all convene as fans, and then we get together, and then we decide to do the actual sport. And I remember when I marched with the Blue Stars back when I marched drum corps, and I wasn't contracted until they called me, and then I appeared 2 weeks before spring training. But I appeared in Indianapolis. I didn't know anybody. I'd never held a mellophone in my entire life because I'm a trumpet player. And something that would have been a much easier transition for me if I would have had that social aspect going into camp. Or it would have probably been easier for me to ask for help, or sometimes you get kind of some people kind of butt heads because one person is intimidated or one person just doesn't really understand another person. But if we can kind of be proactive about things like that, it might help us kind of resolve conflict or make people feel more comfortable. Or, sometimes you get to camp and you have a student who they're so out of place and they're so nervous that they're just like, they want to leave. And they might be a really great player. And then I'm like sitting on the gym floor with them. I'm like, you can do this. I believe in you. And they're like, nope, I'm out, girl. Sorry, bye. But, if we kind of had that engagement before these sudden changes and these sudden paradigm shifts, it might be a lot easier for our prospective members to come in and give it all they got. That's one less thing that they kind of have to worry about, is this entire paradigm shift of not knowing any of these people, going into this activity that they're trying to be a part of, whereas a few weeks ago they're probably one of the kids in the stand who said, I could never do that. This is crazy. So I really kind of take that part with me as something that I kind of took for granted as instructional staff, which is crazy to me because, of course, this is a social sport, and I have personally been in that situation before. Just gone totally blind into this new thing, not knowing anybody in a world-class drum corps. It's terrifying. But I hope it's something that we keep, because I think that's really cool, and I have a lot of fun. I like making cookies on the Facebook Live is fun. Make cookies with me.
Krista's cookies, I wanted to try. They look so good, and they were vegan, right?
Yes, they're made out of beans, but don't let that deter you.
And Krista, one of the things that I love that you're saying, like in thinking of a world-class drum corps, or even of a high school, every time someone auditions for the first time in a world-class drum corps, I immediately think of a freshman entering marching band for their first year. It can be terrifying to so many people. And if we're able to kind of put a positive spin on the world COVID's put a lot of us in, whether it's being hybrid right now, fully virtual, or other, Parker had so many great resources that you can bring to your program right now. Setting up a Zoom sectional, doing a Facebook Live, making cookies just like Krista, or seeing what other amazing, just fun social things that you can do to ease that pressure. And I guess to kind of pivot this to Parker and Joe a little bit, is there anything that we've done, and Krista, you're more than welcome to pop in as well, is there anything that we've done in this COVID year that we expect to continue doing for literally years going forward? It's worked really well for us, and we want to keep bringing it to life.
I think the audition process has probably changed for a lot of the independent organizations, whether it's a drum corps or a winter ensemble. The ease of of kind of that first round being virtual and video. I think most of us are pretty comfortable with that. Krista and her staff and our percussion staff especially can attest to it's a lot of work on the back end to watch 75 snare drum auditionees, which we love, but you want to make sure everybody's getting a great experience. But I think, Josh, that's maybe something that's going to stick around. I think something we like and something I like is we also the last, I don't know, Parker, 6, 8, 10 weeks, we've been doing weekly leadership calls and also every other week a big core meeting. So anybody who's been involved or part of the audition process the last several months, it's a Zoom meeting, so it's not that much excitement. There's no lasers and smoke or anything, but it's a great just way to stay actually connected. In a typical year, we get together starting in January every single month until we move in. I could see that changing just a little bit, but I like the audition videos and definitely, the ease of meetings, of FaceTime meetings. Parker, I think you would agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if it'll stick around since I'm aging out, but what I hope sticks around is the kind of, I think we were bi-weekly core meetings, and my whole philosophy is information needs to be given to everyone, and everyone needs to know as much as possible to make everything go way smoother. And these meetings have been an awesome way to communicate everything. And any outlet you have for communication. So with the Discord we have the Facebook groups and the meetings, like everyone has been able to ask the questions they need to ask. And I feel like people are more confident going into this camp we're getting ready to have because they've had the opportunity to ask all of these questions. And so I hope that sticks around.
Yeah, I think our goal has been Friday night at camp. We've talked a lot about that like after we do our kickoff meeting and the horn line gets together in the arc for the first time, that like you may not know the person next to you, but you recognize them because of their couch to 5K time. And Krista, because she makes bean cookies and, so like making sure we get that Friday night jitters, like Krista was talking about, out of the way is so important. Because like Parker said, we have our first in-person camp coming up this weekend. And we've got 4 days to put a drum corps together, not 4 months. It's like back to real drum corps challenges, which we're all excited about because we're good at that. We can handle that as long as we can do it together. But our goal has been Friday night, making sure that that's a great start to drum corps.
And it's exciting too, isn't it? Like seeing somebody virtually and then getting to camp and going, oh my gosh, it's you. I don't know you, but I saw your dog on the Zoom. Your dog's cute. Or something like that. It's just kind of like that anticipation is something that I think is really fun. Like I cannot wait for this weekend to see everybody live. Like I'm so excited. I feel like I am like going to a red carpet premiere. I'm so pumped to be in front of everybody. And it's just the anticipation of like I've been seeing you guys virtually all the time, been talking to you, been doing weird stuff, been making terrible jokes, and now I get to see you in person and I'm pumped. It's really that build, that anticipation. I'm so excited.
Yeah, 100%. And to kind of think of, a high school band that's in a similar situation right now, getting ready for next marching season. They now have freshmen and sophomores that are entering their junior and senior years. That is a big, big, big dynamic change. And both socially, there's a lot that we've talked about already, but also, thinking educationally, there's a lot to learn. Joe, maybe I can start with you here. What are some of the things that educationally Music City has been doing to help make sure that members know how to march, they know how to hold their horn, they know the show music, some things like that maybe a high school could replicate?
Yeah, that's great, Josh. It's been a challenge, obviously, to host in-person events, which is what we're passionate about. We love the visceral reaction to this social sport. I love how Krista said that. So we did host a couple of local clinics that were kind of aimed at local high school students here in Middle Tennessee. Nashville's where we're based out of. And then we've also teamed up with a couple of different vendors, I'll call them. We're using a service called Music Chunks, which is very similar to some other platforms out there where our staff can post videos, people can have play along tracks. There's a few things like that. So I mentioned kind of at the beginning, COVID made us all do a 180. It forced us into this, what are the resources that are out there that we can maximize? So we've been lucky to find a few of those. And I think some of those will stick around, but But again, there was definitely a virtual Zoom burnout. When you can't get the drum kids together to drum on Zoom anymore because they're just tired of doing it, you've gone too far. So it was pretty interesting. But we found a few things. Once we get going here this summer, we're pretty confident that Music City, we're going to be able to host a variety of in-person, whether it's clinics, educational camps, small local performances, and then, of course, the drum corps. We're all looking forward to that, getting back to what we love to do, which is play for people.
Music Chunks has been awesome for the staff. I mean, honestly, I can really only speak for the brass staff, but it seems like the percussion staff is on there a lot. But it's been really awesome for the brass staff because it's really hard to teach wind players over Zoom because we can't see what's going on in their mouth, and there's just not everybody has thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of recording equipment, so it's hard to hear them, so you kind of feel like you're getting into the same go-to phrases for your feedback. Use more air, make sure you're not articulating too hard, keep your air flowing through every note. But with Music Chunks, it's great because we can present our material, the way that we approach everything, and particularly our vernacular, the way that we say things, and the detail, and the way that we want you to think about things. All of that is not only on Music Chunks, but we also have the videos to go along with it. So if you forget exactly how I told you to do a lip slur, you can just go back and you can listen to me say it again. It's also a great reference for your team because you can go back and go, I really love what Joe said about that lip slur. What was it? And I can even go back and I can incorporate it into my own teaching. Or when I see you guys live again, I can say, hey, you remember what Will Cole said about buzzing? Blah, 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 blah. This is what it is. Remember you did that in Music Chunks? Great. Well, let's do it right now. Here you go, mouthpiece. It's a really great resource. It's been an awesome reference for us, not only as a staff and as a team, but it's a really great way to present that information to you guys. It's a really great way to retain it, too. So that's been a really awesome resource for us. And the brass staff thought we were so smart at the beginning. We were like, we're going to make our brass manual virtual and everybody's going to make videos, and I don't know how we're going to get it onto YouTube, but we are. This is revolutionary. This is great. And then all of a sudden Joe goes, Music Chunks. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
We wanted to do that anyway. We thought we were so smart.
From a student perspective, I hate to keep harping on this Music Chunks thing, but it has so many just different tools and features. You can slow it down, and that's been really helpful for drum major preparation. Just being able, we have some technical passages going through, so being able to slow the music down, listen to it, watch the, I don't know what it's called, but the marker thing, go along with the score, and you're watching, you're going along with it, you're like da 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 da. It's wonderful, and I've totally loved it. You can isolate different parts, so if I'm not hearing the snare part good enough in the recording, I can knock out everything else and just hear the snare and the trumpet part that lines up, and it's a great tool and resource.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially the last year with everybody being stuck on their respective island. I think people either chose to dive in, like Parker, like you were saying, isolate those things and use this tool that's there, or they just kind of didn't, or they found something else that was interesting. Like, I'm going to learn how to chop onions for real. So I'm going to get in there, and that's how I'm going to spend my night tonight and probably tomorrow night. So it's been interesting to have that time. I don't like it. I want to get back on the road. I don't like all the downtime, but it's been cool to discover all those different tools that are out there, Josh, like you were asking.
Yeah, I absolutely love Music Chunks, and for any high schooler that's listening right now, whether it's this thing called Music Chunks or YouTube or any other type of video instruction, there are so many opportunities to help share information with your band that we've been forced to because of COVID. But just because COVID brought something new for all of us doesn't mean it has to be a limitation, but rather going forward 5, 6, 7 years in the future, how cool is it to be able to say, I filmed this video for my band to teach them how to march, or to teach them how to do some lip slur exercise, whatever it might be. And looking forward, generations to come in your band, that video is still being used to help kick off things before band camp. There's such a cool opportunity to get people re-engaged, to get people learning, and to just provide a better experience online. So going forward, I hope you take some of these tools and find ways to make it your own with your own program. So Krista and everyone else, looking forward with Music City, as we continue to re-engage members, as we continue to get ready for the season, what are some of the things that all of you are kind of have on the back burner but can't wait to give to the membership? Krista, can I start with you?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about re-engagement, especially kind of have, as the years progressed with my own band, being a high school band director, and being a high school band director in Tennessee, we did not go virtual. So I had a lot of opportunities to try and re-engage my students because they have been right there in front of me since August. And it's the same struggles as we've seen in the drum corps world. It's just kind of not having something to work towards has been really difficult for everybody because we're all performers. We rehearse for the gig, and that's what we're there for. And we love to perform, and when we don't get it, it's hard to get motivated to practice for it, especially when we can't see what it is. Even if the gig is far away, if we can't even see it, it's hard to do. I know symphony players who have said, I haven't touched my clarinet in months, and they're professional performers. It's even been hard for me to sharpen my own skills as an educator sometimes. So I think that it's really imperative for one of the things that I'm going to focus on with our drum corps is to focus on the small goals and the small checkpoints and the small victories and celebrate those first. Because I think it's going to be really difficult for us to go from kind of idle and fuzzy to jump up and sprint. But I don't think it's going to take a long time for us to get super motivated, but I think it's really difficult to fantasize about these large victories, because these large victories, sometimes the more time we spend thinking about it and the more time we spend kind of holding in these huge victories in our head, we kind of feel like we've already done it, and then we don't put the work in to actually get there. So instead of thinking of like being a world champion and winning this show that's really far away, we want to think about, hey, this camp, this is what we want to do, this is the goal that we need to work towards. And then not only working towards those small checkpoints, but also emphasizing that this is an opportunity for us. This is not our goal is to make this situation that we're in into an exciting opportunity for us to come back and be super strong and be super exciting and to create something brand new, because we've had so much time off. So instead of trying to dust off the cobwebs and pick up business as usual, we actually have an opportunity to create something new and unique and special to us. And I feel like focusing on opportunity to create something new together is not only really exciting for everybody on your team, but it also promotes a sense of ownership. When we create ideas together and when we all put in our thoughts and agree together and then push it forward as a unit, it creates something that's so unique and that we really, really care about. And then it also makes our goals a little bit easier to see as well, because all of us have just a little piece of ourselves in that goal. So setting up those small checkpoints is something that I'm going to focus on as a caption head, instead of trying to say, we're doing this so we can be world champions, we're doing this so we can win this show, we're doing it so we can get the gold. I'm going to say, we're doing this so that we can realize our goal for this camp. We're doing this so we can be better than the drum corps that we were yesterday. And then that will, hopefully, I'll let you know how it works. I think it's going to be great. But I'm anticipating that to really build momentum and for members to pick it up and run with it. All I have to do, I think, is create a little snowball and then push and ease that snowball down the hill, and then you guys will get really excited, and then it'll be out of control and crazy pants like it normally is. So I don't need to spend a ton of hours telling you guys how great drum corps is. all of us are already drum corps fans. That's why we got here in the first place, you know. I am going to talk about how cool drum corps is, but that's not something that I have to sit there and lecture my team about. What I can say is, hey, this idea that we all have that we really super want, here's one little step that we can take to get there. That was really awesome, guys. Here's the next step. We should come just a little farther. All right, good. Come a little farther. And then I can get out of the way, and then I'll do the thing. Small victories, celebrating them, build a momentum, focus on opportunity instead of something that's so big you don't feel like you have to work for it. That's going to be my goal this season. I think it's going to work.
Yeah, like Krista said, with like kind of starting, not instead of dusting off the cobwebs, we have this opportunity to create, drop my pen, something new and exciting. And that's what we've really been focusing on with our leadership / returning vets this year. And like Joe said, we've had our leadership meetings every week or so. And something we've really worked on is our Zach Shearer, our brass captain. Sorry, why can't I think of that? He led us through this awesome like activity where it was like, what do we glow at? What are we really good at? And then what do we need to grow at? And it was just awesome to be a part of that and really talk through like what we talk about, our positives and our negatives. And from that, we kind of made statements as to like what we want to be and moving forward. And we kind of took those statements, turned them into one words, and we've come up with like an acronym, Pipers with 2 eyes. Piper's not important, but what it stands for, it's professional, integrity, inclusive, positive, excellence, respectful, and supportive. And those are all traits we want to embrace moving forward. So we talked about it a while back, and it was Joe and a couple of the people in leadership were like, we're going to take one or two of these, and we're just going to focus on it. We're going to focus on being professional and excellent at May in-person camp. We're going to be professional by showing up to blocks on time with prepared and ready to go, start block on time. And we're going to be excellent in everything we do. There will never be a full trash can after a meal. You know, like the trash will always get taken out. So yeah.
Very, very cool. And Parker, I love that acronym was kind of created and something that the entire leadership team got to buy into. I mean, Krista, when you're talking about these small goals, it really is about putting, a sense of ownership out there for the ensemble to achieve them. And for the leadership team and the returning members that helped create those are something that we cannot wait to kind of share with the broader membership and really get the whole core to buy into. So Joe, I guess like putting on a high school band director hat for you right now, if there was a drum major that wanted to go and kind of create this whole thing for the band, obviously they shouldn't do that without, at least keeping their director in the loop, right? What is your recommendation for a member, or again, a drum major, a student leader that's looking to emphasize a more positive culture in their program? How do they connect with the band director? How do they get them in the loop, and how do they kind of get that approval in the end?
Yeah, that's great, Josh. Thanks. I would say, first and foremost, you got to do it. It's time to get back to in-person action. And I'll tell you what's been amazing with the two of you, with Josh and Parker, this off season is you each owned a piece of something. If we were having any sort of virtual thing, Josh was my right-hand man. He was always there. And Parker owned the whole physical side of the house and getting people couch to 5K. And it's a struggle. It's a crazy struggle. And Parker can shake her head to this. You grab one person at a time and you get them active. And then you grab the next person. So my advice to a younger, whether it's high school or young college leader trying to re-engage and reinvigorate the marching arts, which we all love so much, is don't wait. You've got to grab a buddy and start. And you've got to grab another one the next day and do it again. And that's what your directors need help with. They've been in their desks sitting on Zoom just like everybody else, and there's only so much they can do. But my recommendation for student leaders is don't wait, just start. And it doesn't have to be, cleaning that crazy trumpet lick. It just needs to be fill your water jugs together and make sure everybody has black towels together, and call a friend who's never played mellophone and say, you can do this, just show up tomorrow. And that's what's going to really get re-engagement. And also you can see everybody smiling on the podcast. That's what the summer's going to feel like. And I think we're all kind of ready for that. But don't wait. Just do. Get back out there. Don't forget sunscreen and water, though. We're all going to be hurting right away.
Krista, how about you? Any advice for someone that's kind of coming out of COVID, trying to re-engage their ensemble? We shared a lot of tools today, but what is the final message you want to leave them with?
Small victories and creating something new. I mean, that's what Joe is saying too, is get out there and do something, and those small things go such a long way, filling up your water jugs, making sure that everybody looks uniform. Those little things help create an identity. And ownership help creates a cohesive culture that we all want to be a part of. And that's probably, in my opinion, that's one of the most important parts of the marching arts is the social, is the community, is the family aspect. And that's something that Music City's always been really good at. And that's one of my favorite things. I sat in on the Glow and Grow meeting with the leadership once, and I stole it. And I plugged it into my own high school band program, and my kids went bananagrams. They loved it so much, and they came up with so many cool ideas. And we started with what do you want this band to be like? When somebody thinks of our band, what do you want them to think of? What kind of culture should we embody? What kind of vision do you have? What does this program look like to you? What do you want it to look like? And that has sparked so much leadership in my students who are just kind of starting out, because they feel they love what they do. And so do drum corps kids. I mean, they have to. They get their buns beat every day for 12 hours a day. So they want to have a part to play in it, and they want it to be the best that they can be. So those small victories, taking ownership, have a vision, hold it in your head, and put a little bit into it, and you're going to see it take off. You're going to feel good about it.
I love it. And last but definitely not least, Parker, anything from you, just final advice for a student leader out there?
I think as a whole, student leaders, whether you're the drum major, top of the leadership chain, or you're the brass section leader and you're going to get the rest of the brass section leaders involved, just really utilizing your team and utilizing, you're not a one person band, like say you have 200 people in your band, you're not going to sit there and individually contact everyone. No, give that to their trumpet section leader. The trumpet section leader needs to contact the trumpets, stuff like that. And just really utilize your team. They're there. Get your team, your leadership team on the same page, and then your leadership team will just, spread the gospel throughout the rest of your organization. So.
Yeah, I love it. Delegation is the name of the game. And a really cool other kind of perspective with your leadership team or as a drum major. I'm asked this question a lot. Why does a drum major exist? And a lot of people are going to say, oh, they conduct. Okay, well, why doesn't the director conduct? Oh, well, they teach marching. Cool, why doesn't the director teach? A real important and key reason that a drum major or the student leadership team exists is because they know what's going on in their ensemble. Your director is working so hard right now, booking a next competition, figuring out the buses, getting band recruitment banners out there, whatever it might be. And for all of the student leaders listening today, I hope there's a ton of actionable steps that you can now take to your program to help re-engage your ensemble, because you all know what you need. You know if you're not working out enough. You know if they need a little extra motivation one week. So use that, take ownership, help get others involved, and that's amazing. Joe, is there something you wanted to add?
Thanks, Josh, and this has been a lot of fun. I will say that leaders show up. I think that's the other big thing. And with 2 summers off of especially the drum corps season, we need the student leaders who are out there listening to show up and be part of the drum corps community. There are drum corps all across the country. There's probably one in your backyard. If you live anywhere near Nashville, we are your backyard. Come out, join us, find out what this activity is really about. What I can guarantee you, if being a leader at home is what you want to be, the trade craft you'll learn in the summer is so vital to that next step. So it's all the student leaders who are out there. Remember, leaders show up, and we are going on tour this summer, Music City Drum Corps, along with about 21 other organizations. So there's still time. You're seeing all the posts about auditioning and joining us. We want you. If you're the student leader who's listening to this podcast, you are built for this activity. So there is still time to pull a Krista Kearney and show up 2 weeks before we hit the road and change your life. It changed her life. So no, this has been great, Josh, and really appreciate the time and everything you do for the leadership community.
Joe, thank you so much, and Kristen, Parker, thank you both so much as well. It has been amazing getting to talk with you today. I loved, as awful as it was when we were in the heat of the moment, when COVID shut everything down, I really appreciated getting to kind of look back and just seeing all the amazing growth we were able to create at Music City together. So thank you all so much for joining us. It was a pleasure getting to talk with you, and everyone listening, I hope you now have a couple of extra opportunities that you can take with your program, or you now know where to march this summer. www.musiccityouth.org/drum-corps. It's going to be your best friend, and we truly hope to meet you soon. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, stay inspired. Have a great rest of your day.